started.
RKN. Let's see, it's my turn. Let's start with C4. I think I haven't played in English in a while. C4, E5, so a reverse Sicilian. And let's develop the bishop and the knight. We'll get the knight here on C3. Have some influence on these light squares. And he goes for that pin of the knight. Yeah, you know, actually a lot of times in the English that A3 is played to prevent this perhaps annoying pin. So if I play E4 here, then bishop takes knight, followed by knight. No, the pawn is defended by the bishop there. So I'm going with E4. This is the Botvinnik setup. I'm going to play knight E2 and castle. Play in D3 or D4, and then this bishop can develop along here. So he jumps in there with his knight. Let's play knight E2 anyway. Castle. So he's got kind of a symmetrical setup there. He's got that knight well cemented. This bishop doesn't have a lot of squares to go to, does it? If I kick it, it retreats. Can I exploit that in any way? He can't take because, well, I'm guessing he doesn't want to take because the pawn on the pawn here will be an annoyance. So these are all still defended. I guess I should hop my knight in here, since he decided not to take it. And now what have we got? Do I have b4 at any time? b4, pawn takes, bishop takes. So I need another. Oh no, the knight's on that. So I can play b4 here. Pawn takes, and if he takes my knight, I take his bishop. I might lose a pawn though, actually. Say pawn here, knight takes knight immediately, pawn takes bishop, pawn takes knight, queen takes pawn, and then my pawn structure is kind of a mess, although I do get the bishop. Let's just play a little more quietly. Let's go d3. Open up a line for this bishop. Since I'm never getting d4 in, so let's take that knight out. It's kind of an annoying piece to have around looking at my king side and see which way it takes back. Okay, so now b4 is definitely possible. Okay, looking at this pawn, I'm thinking of playing f4 here. If he takes, I'll take back with the bishop, and I'm looking at the d pawn, so he probably won't do that. But then maybe I'll pile up more pressure on the e5 square if I can. So actually, it's not easy to get pressure on, is it? Oh, well, maybe the combination of f4 and then perhaps threatening to play c5 to pull this pawn away, and then I can grab the e pawn. That might be interesting. c5. Okay, so throws in that move. Let's see, where do I want the queen to go? Probably to the dark squares. Don't think it's needed to defend the d pawn at the moment. So I'm thinking about c5, pawn takes, and then I take bishop takes, and then I take on e5. Sorry. So what will I have? I'll have 3 pawns like this, and he'll have 1 pawn, but he'll have 2 versus 1 over here. And he will have, okay, so he's getting rid of all of these ideas by taking. So which way do I want to go here? Probably, let's take this way. It gives my light squared bishop more scope, and it's consistent with this plan of expanding on the queen side. Aha, and so now I see a problem with placing my queen on that square. He put his rook opposite that pawn. So let's take here first, and then I'll move my queen out of the way. I can play something like queen f2 with tempo, hitting his f7 pawn. He can defend it, but maybe it'll gain me a little tempo. Since I opened up the f-file here, I took back with a pawn. So that gives me a passed pawn. I was a little surprised he did that, but there's logic to it as well. Okay, so let's go with queen f2 here. Get out from that annoying rook. Although I am in the glare of the bishop here, so I have to be careful. But I'm planning to play rook to e1. Bishop to e4 and try and blockade this pawn, but I have to be worried about f5, don't I? Maybe I need to kick his bishop back first. He could play f5 immediately, but I could kick the bishop. It would get complicated, but there is a problem. Oh, actually, I have a way to deal with the bishop, which is to push the c5 pawn. So maybe it's not a problem. I was thinking pushing might be a problem because when I take back, he pushes this pawn with tempo. I can attack his bishop, I can push on once more, but I can just take it. Okay, so he decides to defend. Isn't he losing a piece here, though? Speaking of the bishop has very few squares to go to. And when it goes to c7, there's a fork. So maybe I've pulled this one out. Always got to look for tactics. Yeah, I don't see any great move here. He can sack the bishop for a pawn. That's not a whole lot. He can drop back and then maybe get 2 pawns for it, and then try and win with these central pawns here. He does have, I have 1 little pawn here, and he'll have this whole group of pawns potentially coming down at him. I have 2 over here and 1 here against these 5 pawns. If he, say, plays bishop c7, I push to d6. He takes, I take, queen take. And, my bishop is kind of restricted. Maybe bishop to b2. Putting pressure on these pawns and trying to slow him down. Yeah, so he's going for something like that. Still, I have to grab the material. Really, in a case like this. So maybe my first move, though, should be to kick his bishop back. Now, if I put my bishop on e4, does it stop him from playing f5? So bishop e4, pawn to f5, bishop takes, queen takes. Looks okay for me. But he does. Okay, so let's not rush with that. Let's play bishop to b2. Get my rooks on the open files. Rook on c1 and rook on d1, the half open files. Yeah, so he's going over there to defend. I am going to take a look at the e-pawn here. Yeah, I just have to play carefully against these extra pawns until my advantage becomes evident. What is he doing? He's lining up on the h-pawn here. Yeah, I also got to pay attention to what my opponent is threatening. I have an extra bishop, which is nice, but there's so much force on the board that this could still have to play it cautiously. But my bishop and my rook, they're restraining this pawn from advancing, or restraining the e-pawn. And I'll bring my other rook to the c file. He attacks the d-pawn, and I definitely need to defend that. Okay, what's the next thing to worry about here? That actually, the bishop on f5 prevents him from playing pawn to f5, so I'm not sure that really helps his case so much. But it could be he's just having trouble coming up with a plan. Entirely understandable in the circumstances. Tough to be a piece down, but the plan I would come up with as black would be to push the pawns. His plan is to pile up on my weak d-pawn. That's interesting. Can I do something else? Now I can defend with the bishop. I kind of want to keep this pawn here. I don't want it to come forward and give him a protected passed pawn. So if he takes my bishop, I'm going to take with the rook. And yeah, previously this move was leaving my h-pawn undefended, but now my king is up on h7, so that is defended. Yeah, so he keeps the bishop. Probably a smart move, but now I have time to activate my rook, right? Okay, so he lines up with queen and bishop on h on h3 again, so let's not overlook that. Let's not give away that pawn. Or let's not get mated too. That would be a good idea, not to get mated. Okay. So rook here, rook to c5. I'm threatening to take on d4. Take advantage of this pin against the queen. He can kick my rook, though. Let's see. So bishop takes. Yeah, I can still try that. Bishop takes on e4. Well, actually, this is pinned too. Bishop takes. He kicks it here. I'll just take here, and it's supported by the bishop and the rook. So I think this is okay. If he plays b6, kicking my rook, I will play rook takes. Rook takes e5. Okay, so he just defends it. So this is still pinned. So let's drop the rook back or come forward. I was thinking it would be nice to play bishop. Put the bishop where the rook is and fork his two rooks. Looks like a nice tactic. There's also a bishop check here, might be useful, but I have to be careful I don't get mated. So there's a pin this way because his rook is loose, as well as a pin in that direction. That pawn was pinned twice. And let's see, everything is looking reasonably well protected except for the bishop, which I'm going to move my next at my next opportunity. Right here, probably. So, bishop to c5, hitting his rook. He will double rooks. Well, I can bring my rook forward, right? I've lost the check. Okay, there are other moves with the bishop that are better. You know, the bishop, I'm just worried the bishop on c5 is exposed to a harassment by the pawn, and it blocks my rook. Maybe just drop back to b2. And then I may have to defend. I may have to defend my e-pawn, my d-pawn, with the rook here. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so his advantage has dwindled. I mean, my advantage has increased. So he has one pawn for the piece when he used to have 2 pawns for the piece. But those pawns are still a bit ominous. Not so simple. I can start to kick his queen. The rook has actually blocked the bishop's view of this h3 square at the moment. Although he would have funny tactics like rook takes pawn. So maybe I should play something like pawn to g4, just kick his queen away from there. And if the queen goes to a dark square, comes forward to h4, I'll play my queen to this diagonal, and that will force a trade of queens, which should help me. Although it would lose a pawn. I was thinking I could just take that if he pushed it. I've got a bishop here, right? But, okay, the problem is maybe got some discovered attack on my queen, and here. Oh, I can take with the rook, though. Okay, it's just a trade. He can take here, yeah. That's true. Okay, let's line up this way. Maybe try and get a trade in here. Okay, he's not buying it. Let's see, is this bad? I guess it's not good. Let's see, if I attack his queen, he can come here. I can attack his queen with the pawn. Takes my queen, I take his queen. I just don't have a good square to move to attack something or defend this bishop, huh? If I attack the queen and the queen just moves, I would like to get it off this diagonal so I can play rook here, check. Okay, I can take his rook. He takes, and I can take the bishop with check. And I will have 2 rooks. And a queen for, 2 rooks and 2 bishops for rook and a queen. I guess, well, I don't have too much time to think about it, so. He's low on time, too.
Check.
Now, I can, if I'm not getting mated immediately, I have a threat of bishop here, check. Oh, I don't have a threat of bishop there, check. Oh, man. Man, that's terrible. Okay, let's chase his queen away.
Black forfeits on time.
Okay, well, that was a lucky win. I was hoping his queen might go here and I would mate him, but he just lost on time. Man, it's tough to play under time pressure. I really tend to screw up. Anyway, I will upload this and do a post-mortem, and we will check out this final position. I think black is probably better just looking at the material and my exposed king here. It looks pretty dangerous, but his king is not all that safe. Anyway, we will check it out and see you guys later. Bye.